Hello friends, I'm back with part 2 of my 4-part series, at least I believe it will be 4 parts to the series, how to die cut like a pro. I did want to mention yesterday, or I'm sorry, not yesterday, in the previous video, I mentioned that I don't cut apart small dies when I don't cut them apart because I have a tendency of losing them. So I wanted to give you an example here. These are small dies that are tabbed, but I've left them together so that in the event one of these little suckers goes flying across the room for some reason, you never know what these die cutting machines can do, when left unattended. Just kidding. But they have been known to maybe bounce, roll, etc. And I did want to just show you an example of a couple of die sets where I did leave the tabbed dies together. So I'm not sure yesterday, or I said yesterday again, in the previous video, if I mentioned that my favorite die cutting companies are Spellbinders and Cat Scrappiness. And in a slightly distant third is Hero Arts. They all have lots of awesome dies that I really love their designs, and I'm going to show you, here are 2 examples of die sets from Cat Scrappiness. This one I believe is called Wine Knot, and it's the wine bottle that has the layered portions and wine glass. And this one is the Bride and Groom, and it basically has a bride's dress and a groom's tux or suit, whichever way you want to create it. And yeah, so those are from Cat Scrappiness. I did want to tell you before we go into our first technique, actually it won't be our first technique. Yes, it will. Okay. Spellbinders has kits, and this is one of the reasons that Spellbinders is one of my favorite die companies, is they have kits of the month, and every month they have a small die club of the month, and a large die club of a month, a stitched die club of a month, a glimmer club of the month for those of you who like to hot foil, a better press club of the month for those of you that like the better press. They have a stencil, a stamp and coordinating die, and embossing folder, 3D embossing folder, and wax seal clubs of the month. Also, they have what they call a deluxe caboodle, where you get all of the clubs together for $120. So if you are in the market for spending $120 a month on a bunch of really awesome craft supplies, I will leave the link for the different clubs and for the deluxe caboodle so that you can, if you're interested, go check out their really awesome products. Here I wanted to show you some examples of the small dies of the month. Here, when you hear small die, it sounds like a small die, like as in one die. What it is actually a small die set, and it's it's only small compared to its large die set of the month. The small die set is by itself $15 per month, and these are some previous small die of the month club kits. This is one that you can stitch. Here's another stitched one, and so these could be examples of what their stitched die of the month looks like, but I don't have any of those to show you. Here's another, these are borders, and here's a layering set. This is a woman sitting on the beach in a one-piece swimming suit with her little toe bag and some flip-flops. The large die sets of the month are really large, and it's not just a large die. They could be made up of small dies, but the club kit is actually a large set of dies. So here's a food truck that has a taco and ice cream cone, and I think you can, yeah, I guess that's it, just the taco and the ice cream cone. I thought it had a hamburger, but I must be wrong. Here's a strawberry with the vines and the basket. Here is another one with a typewriter and flowers, leaves, all that layer up and do awesome things. Here's another set, and this, I will show you how this actually can go through the platinum and cut from one end to the other without, I'll show you. That will be in a coming up video though. So now that I've gone through those, we'll get on to our first technique. The first technique is going to be when you are doing die cutting an intricate die. What I recommend is on your cardstock, putting a piece of double-sided tape, or I believe that's what it's called, double-sided adhesive, or double-sided adhesive sheets. This is actually comes from Altenew, and it comes in a pack of 10 sheets, and they are 8.5 by 11, I believe. They may be a little bit bigger. Anyways, I'm showing you this because cutting the intricate dies sometimes have difficulty, and we're going to use this kit of the month, and we have an intricate frame here. I have never used this before, so excuse me while I open this up. Take off this packaging. When you're cutting an intricate die like this, sometimes you can have a problem with all of the details cutting out. One tip, but this would not be my first recommendation, if you are having problems with cutting the die, I'm trying not to get this to shine because my camera goes bonkers when I do that. This is a metal shim. You can use the metal shim as part of your sandwich when you are running your die through the machine. And basically what you would do is just put that between your sandwich, but not underneath the sharp edges. So you don't want to put it underneath where the sharpness or where the cut is going to occur. So let me get my plates. Another tip I have for the large detailed dies, and this is for large dies by themselves. I'll also mention that the adhesive will go face down. You're going to cut from the cardstock side of the paper, not on the other side, and I'll explain that after we do the cut. what you will do is turn this so that the smallest portion of the die goes through as possible. So you want to angle that as much as your die plates will allow you to angle it. Put my top plate on, and I'm going to put this through here. All of that cracking is normal. It's just the die cutting into the plate. It is not your machine breaking. So what I will show you, besides using the double-sided adhesive on here for the intricate die, whoops, it's peeling right off, and positioning the die so that it goes in at an angle, also positioning it so the cut side is facing up, and using your cut plate, what you would do in that instance is you would put your clean plate or the uncut plate on the bottom, put your die facing up, and facing up I mean with the sharp edges up, and then lay your cardstock on top of that. What I do when I am cutting face up is I will put my cardstock on the table, put the tape onto the cardstock if I'm using tape, and then flip it around the other way. Another reason for using the double-sided adhesive is because this intricate die does not have a lot of area to put glue on. I personally prefer liquid glue. I'm looking for my pokey tool now. Personally prefer liquid glue, but when using intricate dies like these, they don't have a lot of area for you to put that glue onto. So now I'm just going to get this in between. Sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained today. I just finished a monster, or I say today like in my other video I wasn't scatterbrained. Anyways, so here we have our die cut. All of these pieces have adhesive on, and the sheet came off of them. I am spazzing. Let me get another piece. I'll show you on dark. And we have a clean cut, die cut, and the adhesive actually, or I'm sorry, the release paper actually came off when I sent it through the machine. So this is ready to be glued down onto a project. I'm going to set this aside, and I will be right back. Take 175. Okay. Sometimes when cutting through acetate or vellum, you can have a problem with the die cutting all the way around the image. What I recommend, here I have a piece of 24-pound vellum. I recommend using some lightweight cardstock underneath the vellum. Now I'm going to tape my detailed image onto the vellum. Oh, I forgot I just put lotion on. I wonder if this is going to stick at all. And I think we should tape the vellum to the paper so that doesn't move. There we go. And we're going to run it through the die cutting machine. I had to put a cutting mat on top of my glass mat. I'm going to have to do this again. Oh my gosh. This is scoobying all over the place. Okay, let's see if we can get away with this. Yep, we sure did. We got that cut all the way through, but it's sticking to the top plate. Oh my goodness, I'm having a time here. Okay, let's see. Part of this has come out. I'm going to poke it through. Use our pokey tool here to get the rest of it to come out. And it has cut clean through. Now, you would think that something as thin as a 24-pound vellum would cut easily, but it's actually the opposite. Thinner materials have a more difficult time cutting than a heavier material. Well, here we got 2 for 1 now. So here's our very detailed die cut clean through that vellum. Now let's try the same thing with some acetate. Actually, I'm going to pause right here, remove my glass mat, and start over with the acetate. I'll be right back. Try this one more time without the mat. Okay, here I have a piece of vellum, and I also have a piece of copy paper. You see that vellum? And I'm going to tape the die onto the, did I say vellum? I meant acetate. I have a piece of acetate, and I have a piece of copy paper. This video is going to be the death of me. I'm going to give this, whoops, the other way. Cut. There we go. Don't be discouraged if your machine makes the same noise. It is merely the die. Oops, okay, there's our copy paper. And our vellum is still in the die. So what we're going to do, first I'm going to remove the tape. And we're going to give it a little poke here and there. Get that to release. Oops, don't want to lose my little tittle. Oh, there it is. If you don't know what a tittle is the dot above the eye. It's also known as a tittle, or a dot above the eye. This is going to bring us to our next tip. When your die cut doesn't release from your die, I have a tip for that, so that you don't have to struggle through trying to get it to release this way. And you do want to take your time. I'm not sure if it would happen with acetate, but with cardstock or vellum, if you were to try to pull it out as opposed to, I'm not sure if you're going to even be able to see this, but we did get a nice clean cut. Oh, we've got some printer paper on the other side here. Nice clean cut all the way around with one attempt. There we go. So there's our happy birthday die cut, and a clean die. The next tip I have is getting your material to release from your die is something that most people have in their home, and these are fabric softener sheets. Now what you can do one of two things, and you can use an already used fabric softener sheet that you've run through the dryer, or you can use a new one, depending on which way you want to go about this. There's one method that you can take and fold up your fabric softener sheet and just give it a rub inside the detail, trying to get on the inside of that cutting line. That will help your paper or your material that you're cutting to release very easily from your die. The only problem that I've had with this is that occasionally the fabric softener will affect my ink blending if I were to ink blend on the paper after using this little hack. So I'm going to show you what it's like. We're just going to do the top half here, and I'll run it through and cut our, oh, it's nice and the grit from my fabric softener was falling on my table. Take that down, and I'll show you the difference between the area that was treated and the area that was not treated. Well, I didn't line it up good with the paper. So you see how the happy is all popped out, but the birthday is still stuck inside the die. If I were to if I would have also treated the birthday area, it would have just fallen right out. The second way you can use a fabric softener sheet is to, let's get these out of the way, run it through your, and this time I'm going to use the used dryer sheet. Oops, got some material still in there. There we go, we have a clean die. And I'm going to run this right through my die cut machine. And then when we run it through, after we treat it this way with the fabric softener sheet, you'll see. Remember I was saying thin material doesn't cut all the way through? See, it didn't cut all the way through that fabric softener. Let me grab another piece of cardstock. Oh, sorry about that, I had to grab a piece that was big enough for my die. And get my scissors. Short. Tape that down. And run it through. That must have been a really well-loved dryer sheet because it turned me into a liar. Well, let's see how much effort it requires to poke it out. Like I showed you with the acetate, probably didn't have to do it with the acetate, but what I do is I will follow kind of tracing inside the die to get it to release. So let's try it with a brand new dryer sheet and see how that works. I'm just going to cut this size so I don't use the entire dryer sheet. Save the rest for another time. Oops, still have paper in there. Okay. Now, a piece of cardstock. More cardstock. Take that down. Oops, back in there. Run that through. Well, both attempts have turned me into a liar. So I guess the best manner to do that would be to just give the inside cut lines a rub. This is coming out quite a bit easier than the last one did. There we go. See, the last bit popped out. So it helps, but it's not a fail-safe. It did much better when I treated did the rubbing of the inside of the die, inside of the image. It did much better that way. I'll be right back and we'll move on to another technique. The next tip I'm going to share is how to remove those tiny, pesky little die cut hairs from the back of from a die cut image. If I can actually loop this around, I take a little bit of this low tack tape, make sure I spin it around a little bit, get some of that tackiness off of there, and then I just roll it on the back side of your die cut, and that is going to lift off the majority of those little pesky hairs that you can see sticking out of your die cut when you glue it down on paper. So we'll just go around it. Unfortunately, I won't be able to show you the before and after of this because the hairs are so small, my video camera will not even detect them to show you the example. I just want to show you a process of me doing it, removing those hairs. Oops. And another tip is to make sure you're holding down both sides of the area that you're removing the hairs. And there we go. That one looks free of any hairs. I can't see any more on the sides. That's the easiest way to do it without bending your die cut. The next tip I have is about how to tack down a very detailed die cut. I'm using my Barely Arts glue, and what I do is grab a hold of it with my reverse tweezers and just dab some glue dots all around. And what I do to get this so that it doesn't burp out the sides is I will just tap it off onto my hand, and I'll show you an example of me doing that. What I also do is I make sure that I get the top and the bottom, and at least once in between the areas. So see the little pointing, the end of the Y, I make sure to get that area and the bottom. And I'll try to get through this pretty quick. So at the top of the A, the bottom of the A, the bottom of the loop, side of the loop, bottom of the B, or that's a D, I'm looking at it backwards. At the ends of the little swoops there. Top of the letter, it's bottom of the letter. And then what I will do is just dab that off on the back of my hand so that there's not too much glue. And you can use this, actually dab it on your hand to pick up glue if there's not enough glue. And what we'll do is just center that down. I'm going to use my fingers for this. Onto my cardstock lumps. Huh. I keep wanting to squeeze because it's not letting go. There we go. Is that straight? I think so. It still did herb out a couple of the sides, but I think that's more because I didn't set it down right. Anyways, there we go. And you'll notice that all the areas are stuck down. And I don't have any glue coming out the sides. So that's all I have for you right now. I will have 1 or 2 more videos on tips and tricks for being a pro at die cutting. And if you have not been to my website, go to www.cardsbyshannonlee.com. There you can sign up for my newsletter, and as a subscriber to my newsletter, you will be entered in a drawing to win a bundle of craft supplies. I draw a name on the last Saturday of every month, and I will ship out to the winner a bundle of craft supplies. And it is a bundle approximately 1 to 3 pounds heavy, depending on the supplies you choose to be included. But I am glad you stopped by. I would appreciate a like and subscribe if you are interested in seeing more of my content. Thanks so much for stopping by. Bye for now.